everybody. Hello and welcome to this month's community conversation. I'm Ann Cosma from Team Flip, and I am so excited today because we are kicking off Computer Science Education Week. And today we're discussing the importance of computer science education and sharing ways that folks advocate for and inspire K-12 students to learn about computer science. Of course, we're also going to be celebrating the contributions of those working to create equity in this field. We've invited members of the community as well as members from Team Flip to share their thoughts and experiences on this exact topic. We're also going to share plenty of ideas, activities, and we'll share a ton of resources too. So I'm excited to learn and grow with you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And with that, let's cue the countdown. All right, friends, I am so excited for this community conversation. As I just mentioned, we are discussing equity and computer science education, which is one of the fastest growing fields today. And we know that computer science education should be an integral part in all K-12 student experiences, but sometimes getting access to curriculum and resources is quite challenging. But we want to share with you tons of ideas and insights. And today we're going to be hearing from industry professionals about their own career journeys and how we can work towards creating equity in computer science. But before we get started on our learning journey today, I want to introduce you to my incredible co-host. With me today, I have one of Flip's senior software engineering managers, Somesh Arora. Hi, friend, welcome.
Thank you so much, Anne. How are you doing today? We are matching today.
Hey, I am so excited to have you here for this conversation, Somesh. Can you start us off by sharing a little bit about yourself and your role at Flip?
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm just grateful to be here today. Hello, everyone. I'm Somesh. I'm an engineering manager here at Microsoft Flip. I'm part of a team that's responsible for adding new features and maintaining the Flip iOS and iPad apps so every diverse voice in the classroom can be heard and respected. We live by mission to empower every single learner on the planet to achieve more. I'm originally from India, but I'm currently based out of Vancouver, Canada. And I'm just grateful to be here today having this conversation with you.
Oh, we are just so excited to have you join in, Somesh. And I am a power user of that Flip app. So thank you for what you're doing. For those of you tuning in, thanks for spending some time with us as we kick off CSEdWeek together. I want to invite you to use the chat. You can drop your questions or your comments in. We want to hear from you. And if you're out there on social, feel free to share your photos, a moment, a shout out to somebody in your community, or even like an aha learning moment or takeaway. You definitely can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and don't forget to tag us at Microsoft Flip. Now, Somesh and all of you friends who are watching in, today's episode is bringing together a bunch of industry professionals as well as members of our own team here at Microsoft Flip. They're going to be sharing about computer science education and ways we can democratize it and make it fun. Let's meet them now.
Hey, I'm Sophia, and I'm a product manager on Flip's beautiful camera that I'm using right now. Before this, I was a product manager on Microsoft's augmented reality headset, and I live on the West Coast.
Hello, everyone. My name is Swati Kumargunta, and I am a technical program manager for Flip at Microsoft. I live in Atlanta area, Georgia, and I like it here because it's not so cold during the winters. So, hi.
Hi, my name is Willie Orozco. So I come from the classroom. I used to teach computer science and engineering. I started teaching just science, and then I became a computer science teacher. And then now I am working for the Microsoft Deals program, trying to bring computer science to high schools. And I am also the president of the Miami chapter for the Computer Science Teacher Association.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have these experts joining us today. So many great insights and learnings. I know we're going to hear from them. So let's move on and actually have Will, Swati, and Sophia set the stage and share for us a little bit about how their journey in computer science started.
So I am from Colombia, the country in South America. And when I was a kid, my family used to have a shop that used to fix refrigerators, electrodomestics, TVs, radios. And I remember sitting next to my grandfather and seeing him take apart the TVs, replacing the tubes and fixing them, radios as well. So to me, that was always something that I grew up with. I also had a passion for science in general. I grew up, I studied earth sciences. I ended up being a science teacher. And luckily, the school that I was at wanted to introduce robotics into that science class because I had a knack for it. It came natural to me. And then I was asked if I wanted to teach computer science and engineering in general. Of course, I said yes. Fast forward a few years, I ended up being the chair of the department. I also started the CSEA Miami chapter. So yeah, I think it has always been in my bloodline to be in computer sciences and engineering, STEM in general.
Ooh, this is an interesting one. How did my journey begin in computer science? I grew up in beautiful country of India, and my father, he was an electric engineer. I used to see how he used to approach problems, his day-to-day problems or the problems at work, and I was so fascinated by electric engineer, to be very frank. But he was a smart man. He said no matter what kind of engineering you would do, you would maybe somehow end up into computer science field. So why not pursue and learn everything from the beginning, which was a very smart thing to say for that time. That's how I got into the computer science field and made a career out of it.
My journey to computer science began with a TED Talk that I watched in high school. It was about the designer of an online learning platform, and I was blown away by how much he knew about brain science, learning science, how to motivate people to learn, how to help them remember what they learned. And I was like, I want to learn all about these brain hacks for learning things. So I went to college and I studied cognitive science, and as part of my degree, I had to take a computer science class. And I did not enjoy it. I had a really hard time. I felt very vulnerable and very incapable. And I ended up taking more and more computer science classes just to prove to myself that I could do it. I definitely didn't enjoy it in the way that a lot of my classmates did. Then the turning point was my third year of college, where I got to take a class all about building my own project. And I realized that I've always loved creating and building things like singing, playing piano, arranging music, painting, and code was another tool for helping me build the things that I want to see in the world.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Isn't it so cool to hear how different people's journeys lead them into something like computer science, and that there is no one way to get started in this field, right? So Mesh, I'm so curious, as somebody working in computer science, how did your journey begin?
Thank you. Thanks for asking that question. It was very inspiring to see how different people had different journey. I remember I've always been a fan of math subject, and it was very fascinating to me. I've always enjoyed problem solving ever since I was a kid. Sometime in the middle school, I remember a senior person showing me a simple math calculator that they had built using a C++ programming language. And in a way, that was my aha moment. It was so fascinating to me that you could build something that could replace your TI-30 or TI-89 calculators, right? I remember at the time we were learning simple interest and compound interest in a math class. And I learned how to do code, manipulated the simple calculator code that my friend had wrote, and made a code which would give me a simple interest and a compound interest. That was my very first shot at computer science, and I was hooked because it in a way became part of my identity, because I was able to solve that problem in a creative way and be able to do my homework just based on the program that I wrote. That was my first interaction with computer science, but it didn't start until very late in my career.
But I love that everybody's journey is sparked in a different way. And hearing those videos and hearing you talk problem solving, to me, that is a big part of computer science. If this, then that. First A, then B, and problem solving. And I love that. And you mentioned a TI 89. I was a TI 82 in high school.
There we go.
I think we all started hacking our calculators and learning about code, right? I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's awesome. Well, friends, right? I love it. So at the top of the hour, we mentioned how computer science is growing and continues to grow as one of the fastest fields with a ton of career opportunities for young people as they're going through K-12 education. They head to college perhaps and out into the workforce. But without equal access to information or resources for computer science, the opportunities to develop a love for this type of learning might be less accessible for some teachers and students. And Somesh, I think that's why I'm so passionate about something like this initiative, Computer Science Education Week. And we call it CSEdWeek for short, but it's all about centering and celebrating and encouraging continued progress in making computer science more accessible for all. So let's hear from our guests again on some of the ways they think computer science can be made more equitable.
One way to make computer science more equitable is early access to computer science. The sooner you start, the sooner you know things. It gets so much easier to explore, to navigate, and to pursue career around it. I highly encourage curiosity. I highly encourage individuality. Do not be afraid to ask the basic questions of what, why, how. Be curious to see how anybody is trying to solve that problem. You do not have to reinvent the wheels. We can as well learn from their learnings and take a step forward and try to solve the problem in a better way. So if you're looking at computer science from a distance, it feels huge. It feels like there's something to it. But just get started, just get the early access to it. It's never too late.
One way to work towards equity in computer science is to encourage learners to build projects based on problems that they are passionate about. And let me tell you why this project-based class was the turning point for me in learning computer science. My teacher started off the class by asking us two questions. One, what problem are you passionate about solving? And two, what is something outside of engineering and computer science that you really love and that you're really knowledgeable about? For me, I was really knowledgeable about music theory, and I was really passionate about helping people who didn't have the training that I did get into music and enjoy playing the pop songs that they love. So the solution I ended up building was a way to import guitar chord sheets, which is like G major, G minor, I don't know what notes are even in that. And then it would export sheet music that someone could then play on the piano. And it would export the sheet music in different key signatures. So no matter if you had a low voice or a high voice, you could end up playing music that really worked well for your voice, and you could sing along to the pop songs. This experience was so powerful because it showed me that I have something to gain from learning computer science. I now have the tools to build the solution that I'm so passionate about. And it also showed me that I have something unique to contribute to computer science. I was so passionate about this problem and knew that I was the only one in my class who could build something like this because I have a unique background in music theory. And I ended up having the best time building it, and I worked on it proactively every day of the semester.
So one thing that you can do to help bring more diversity, make computer science more equitable, is to take advantage of Computer Science Education Week. Take that week as a time for you to showcase what the students are doing in the classroom, especially as students who are Hispanic, Black, and African American, who are girls, who are non-binary students, right? And if they can showcase the work that they're doing in the classroom, then that helps bring more students into computer sciences. It is about demystifying computer science and showing that computer science is for everyone and not only for the smart kids. Right? We all know that everybody's smart, We just have different ways of learning and different ways to express ourselves. So there is definitely amazing work being done by your students, diverse students in the classroom. Just take a moment to showcase that work. You can also use that week to, for example, have a table out during lunch with your students there, teaching other students how to code. You can use those very simple activities from the hour of code, like, for example, have the one where you're programming different characters to dance at the rhythm of music. You can actually have your students teach others how to do that, right? And if you can have a display and kind of have a speaker and have everybody dance and join, you make it fun, make it enjoyable. And that's how we actually can bring more kids into computer sciences.
I love that advice. And I love that it's also so inclusive and celebratory of the rich diversity of a learning community, or celebrating if it's somebody of color or a non-binary student, or Willie's idea at the end, having like a showcase, having a table out, celebrating, learning from each other. These are all practical, brilliant ways, but the unique contributions that everybody adds to the community. I love that. So Mesh, what do you think as an iOS engineer on our team? What advice do you have or tips to help in this capacity?
Of course, thank you. And those were some amazing advices. To make computer science more equitable, my advice would be to provide early access to computer science education. If students are having their first interaction with computer science in the middle school or high school, it could be it could be really daunting or scary for a lot of students, right? If we think about subjects like math or reading that students are exposed to from a very young age, they feel much more comfortable as they go along the way. And I feel that computer science shouldn't be any different. By introducing computer science at an early age, we could set students up for success as they move along in their computer science career. If I were to talk about the example that I gave before, I personally didn't have access to computer science education earlier in the career. So it was daunting for me when I initially started. And if I didn't had my aha moment, or I wasn't fascinated by the code that I saw or the applications of computer science, there's a good chance that I wouldn't be here doing what I do today. So it is absolutely mission critical that we provide early access to computer science, so students can learn and set them up for we set them up for success.
Yeah, and I think even to me, that's why I'm passionate about conversations like this that even explore, we'll share some resources at the end, but the conversation to help build awareness and the celebration of step one, or having a problem and trying to solve it, or looking for a creative way. But I so appreciate you sharing your experience and insights too. So Mesh, let's get on. We have another question for our guests. Let's go ahead and see it now.
Let's do it.
So I feel the big tech companies are doing a wonderful job of going to schools, colleges, trying to look at new talents, fresh minds, also people. But I think what sparks out of everything is creativity. You could solve a problem in a million different ways, but if you could find the creative way of doing it, that in turn, sparks and lights up so many other minds that they so get attracted to what you're doing. So I would say keep the light up, keep the fire running, and be creative, be persistent, and that is how you play the long game and inspire others. So the tool you need to succeed in computer science, be creative, be persistent, and keep it going.
So I really enjoy seeing a lot of companies from the industry of computer science getting involved in education. One thing that I do see is that many of the companies are working with colleges and universities, which I think is very amazing. But if we're thinking of bringing more people into computer sciences and making it more equitable, right? If we think of bringing more people as a funnel, right? Then colleges and universities, you're already in that narrow section of the funnel. So I think that high schools and middle schools is the way to go. That's why I love what I do for Microsoft Teals, because we're helping high schools to bring more students into computer science. So just kind of like engaging more with K to 12 education in general. There are many different ways to participate to help those schools, bring people from your company to talk on career days, kind of like make students aware of what's happening out there with computer sciences, make them aware of the need of talent that we have in the industry. So it's very important to engage, because at that early age, that's when you really engage those students to go into computer sciences. So feel free to reach out. I'll put my contact here as a comment. So I'll be more than happy to talk more about it.
You could look into sharing your journey on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, podcasts, etc. So I used to never want to share my journey and what I learned. And then I started interviewing my friends and sharing their stories on my podcast called Bamboo and Glass. And we've shared a lot of career journeys of Asian American women in engineering. And here are a couple things that I learned that encouraged me to keep sharing my journey and keep amplifying other people's journeys. The first thing that I learned is that you never know what's going to resonate with people. Something really mundane for you could be really mind-blowing for someone else. Secondly, people don't always want to hear from experts. You might think, I'm surrounded by these brilliant people. Who am I to share something? Why would someone want to listen to me when they could listen to the president or the CEO of some company? Well, people don't always want to hear from experts and people who've been in the industry for 30 years. They want to hear from people at different points in their journey. And you might just be at that point of a journey that someone is like interested in and really wants to know, what is it like being just 2 years into your career or 8 years into your career? I could learn about people who are 30 years into their career, but I also want to know, what is it like being in the middle? How do you even get there? And one thing to do to start is you can think about one thing that you know now that you didn't know 1 year ago and turn that into something you share with the world. And if you're still feeling a little hesitant about sharing your journey, you can also support others who share their journey. Comment and tell them what their sharing meant to you to keep them going.
Okay, wow. Those are incredibly thoughtful responses. So Mesh, I'm so curious, what do you think about this?
Yes, again, and those were some amazing responses. To me, if demystifying computer science education as us and as industry professionals who are working computer science field, in a way, it is our responsibility to make sure we make our next generation ready for computer science, right? If we can help them get to that why, if we can help them get to that aha moment, that would help them achieve what they want to achieve. I think that that would be one advice that I would have, that a computer science professional should have, because a lot of time when I have a background in computer science, I went to college. During the initial classes, all I was learning was how to do sorting or searching, and yes, while that is important, I didn't understood why I was learning that, and that was a little bit scary for me. That why do I care about sorting an array of numbers, right? It didn't give me my why. So if I could help someone answer what they would be able to achieve if they were to study computer science. For instance, if you learn how to play an instrument, you'll be able to play that. If you learn a language, you'll be able to speak with someone on using a different language, right? So same thing with computer science. If your goal is to create a website, create an app, make a difference in the world, make that statement, I think we need to help students achieve that, get to their aha moment, and we'll see a lot more students interested in computer science.
Yeah, and the thing about this conversation that's so special to me is hearing from you all who work in this field and our friends across industry. And I mean, you're hearing responses that include words like creativity, persistence, problem solving, collaborations, participation. If there's a program or resource like Microsoft Teals on campus, my goodness gracious, thank you, Willie, for sharing that as a resource to support middle school and high school students. And I love what you talked about, and Sophia shared, sharing your journey. Everybody's at a different part of their journey. And as lifelong learners, when we learn with and from each other, it just makes it that much sweeter, you know? Oh my gosh. Okay. Somesh, this has been so thought-provoking. I actually have something I want to share with you, my TI-82 calculator.
It just bring back the good old days, right? It's just an amazing piece.
I
Yeah,
have
of
this in a
equipment.
drawer right behind my desk, and I was like, I remember that.
As a computer science student, you could write a program that could replace your TI-89, TI-82s, right? That's a why right there. To me, that was very fascinating that I can use a piece of software that I wrote that could do the same thing that a TI-30 calculator could do.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it has been so awesome hearing you share your expertise, your insights, and your experience. And of course, hearing from our incredible guests too. So, Mesh, before we wrap up and share a few resources, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with folks who are watching?
Absolutely. I'm just absolutely grateful to be here. Thanks a lot for having me. If you have any questions that we could help, please reach out to us through social, through our Flipgrid community topic. And I'm very confident that we at Flip, our engineering team, will do our best to help out in any way possible. I want to celebrate a Computer Science Education Week. Thanks a lot for everyone. And a big shout out to all of our educators for what they do. You are truly amazing. You are superheroes, and I'm forever grateful for all of you. Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, so much. Thank you. And I just echo that. Educators are superheroes. I am in awe every day. And friends, as we're getting ready to wrap up, there are two resources I have to mention. JB, let's bring them up. That first one, of course, is Microsoft Make Code, which is a free online learn to code platform where anyone can build games, code devices, and even mod Minecraft. And friends, you can play those retro style arcade games, write programs for your microbit, and of course, code in Minecraft Education Edition. And I love this resource because it has everything from block-based coding to learning languages like JavaScript and Python. And of course, I want to mention our very own Flip Discovery Library. We have a coding and computer science featured collection. You can find that with ready-to-use topics that have resources literally to explore jobs in computer science and coding in the real world, or ideas about learning about perseverance, and even playing games to learn to code with activities like building lunar habitats. How cool is that? So, of course, there are so many great ready-to-use resources in the Flip Discovery Library. And before we go, friends, I have a special message for you in celebration of Computer Science Education Week from a member of our community, Shayna Glass, the Senior Professional Learning Manager of the Computer Science Teachers Association. Let's hear from Shayna.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shayna Glass, and I'm the Senior Professional Learning Manager here at CSTA, which is the Computer Science Teachers Association. And we are bringing you, in conjunction with all of our CS partners, CSEdWeek this year. I wanted to take a few minutes just to say thank you for jumping on this flip, sharing your voice in regards to equity in CS and the needs that you see facing your schools and community, and also share with you all of these wonderful resources here at CSTA and in partnership with lots of our CS providers. We are bringing you resources, and yes, this site is live. So first, bookmark CSEdWeek.org because you need it. 2, click on and find how you can represent and bring these spaces into your spaces, into your classrooms. This year, we are celebrating the progress that we have made in computer science by looking forward, but also looking back at some of this year's CS heroes, which just happen to be students. These are young people who are impacted and who were impacted by the work that happened when they were younger and in classrooms. So you can bring that into your classroom. Along with these posters are resources and lessons. They're going to do a kickoff panel discussion where they bring their voices into the space. And there's lots of activities that you can use in your classroom to celebrate progress, including making your students CS heroes. I encourage you all not only to share this with your students, but also share yourself as a CS hero. And if you do that, let us know, because we want to celebrate that alongside you on social media and beyond. Thank you again for all that you do. Thank you for sharing this with your students, and we wish you all the best this year at CSEdWeek.
Oh, thank you, Shayna, for that incredible message and for bringing CSEdWeek alive for folks everywhere. And friends, we want to invite you into that conversation. You all are welcome to join our Flip community group where you can share your own ideas, celebrate that progress, and talk about how you're celebrating Computer Science Education Week. You can join that group at flip.com/thinkitflipit. We would love to hear from you. And throughout this entire week, we are celebrating computer science education, and we want to invite you to check out some of our available resources that will connect you and your class with real-life experts. For example, this December 8th, you can meet Minecraft's makers Lydia Winters and Corey Skeviak, who are going to be sharing about their career journeys and inspiring the next generation of technology creators. And of course, we'd love for you to explore live lessons with programmers, Minecraft mentors, and more experts offered by our friends over at Take Lessons. And of course, be sure to check out those amazing ready-to-use resources on coding and computer science in Flip's Discovery Library, and share those topics with your community to spark a discussion. Friends, that's it for today. It's been so awesome hearing from our incredible friends, talking all about their journey and incredible ways we can make and create equity in computer science. On behalf of Team Flip and our amazing guests, thank you to Somesh as well for joining us live, and thank you all for choosing to spend your time with us. We wish you all a happy Computer Science Education Week. We'll see you next time.